Welcome everyone to this Techability webinar, Widget Symbols for Communication. We're joined today by Sue White, who's the Senior Educational Specialist at Widget. So welcome, Sue, and thank you very much.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much for having me. I'll just do the technical bits of sharing the screen and then we can get going.
Great, thanks. And if people have got any questions along the way, feel free to ask. And also to use the chat if you want.
Absolutely, thank you. Neil, it's going to take away your screen. Is that okay if I overshare?
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, let's go there. All right, lovely. So thanks, Neil, for the introduction, and thanks everybody for having me along. My background, just so that you've got an idea of where I'm coming from, is in mainstream education. So I was a mainstream primary school teacher, and then I worked as a special educational needs coordinator, did various qualifications within the SEN field, and ended up working as a local authority advisor for SEN from age 3 to 19. So although I've not specifically worked in further and higher education, I have visited many colleges and consulted and supported staff within them. So Neil's asked me to do a little session today on using symbols, and in particular the software that Widget Software Limited has to be able to create visual resources. So I've just got a little PowerPoint presentation just to introduce that at the beginning, and then I'll go into showing you actually the software itself and the difference between our two programs. So why do we use visuals? I guess most of you that are coming along to this session will know about visuals, but maybe some people who are listening to the recorded version perhaps less so. These statistics from the Visual Teaching Alliance always completely blow my mind, and it just shows that it's not just about those with a learning disability of some point, so not just neurodiverse but neurotypical as well. We all need to use visuals because 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual, and we process visuals 60,000 times faster in the brain than text. It's why we have symbols, icons on road signs and not the written word, because we process quickly enough to be able to take it on board and be able to react to what's being said effectively on that road sign. And then you add into that visuals are permanent where words are transitory. We're lucky enough today to be recording this, but if I was just speaking to you, chances are you would have completely forgotten what I'd said within the next couple of minutes. So words are transitory, they disappear, but a visual is permanent. And we can also think about the way that the brain functions when we're under stress or anxiety or duress. And it's more difficult for the brain to understand and absorb verbal information in those situations. Now, we're stressed often in many different ways. You know, doing presentations, for example, people who are autistic often in a very high state of arousal, but it can happen to any of us if we're in a situation that's unfamiliar, in a traffic accident, if you unfortunately have an entanglement with the police, your brain shuts down and finds it difficult to process information. So having visuals in those scenarios can also be very helpful. So why do we talk about symbols as opposed to just visuals in general? And there's a really nice quote there from Albert Cairo, that a photograph includes too much information. A symbol goes straight to the heart of a concept. It doesn't have any background peripheral information, and it can really explain a concept and vocabulary associated with that. There's an example here of a photograph of a library. So the picture on the left-hand side. Lots going on. There's a car in front. There are trees and grass and a road and road lamps. And how do I know that's a library? Because I can't see any books, for example. It just happens to be the library in the town. We could have an illustration of that. So we could take some of the peripheral information away and just have that building. So that's the middle picture there. But if I do that, how do I know that's a library still? It just happens to be a representation of one building that is a library. But the symbol, and this is the widget symbol, is a book within a building. So it's consistent across all libraries. It represents what a library is, a building with books. And symbol sets should have, and this is something that the widget symbol set definitely has, it should have a schema, a set of rules that allows you to build up and understand that vocabulary. It's like using a separate vocabulary, if you like, a separate language. So you can see there from our schema examples, you've got a book, a librarian, a person who works with books. You've got a library, a building with books in. You've got a bookshop, which adds in the till. You've got a publisher or a big entity to do with books. It has the rounded roof, and then you're reading books. So there's this logic and schema to using symbols that can help develop vocabulary and understanding. In addition, on the right-hand side, a couple of other things about why widget symbols in particular. They're consistent, or they support all ages. So you guys are working with the older students, but the symbols are not babyish. Some symbol sets can be seen as quite young. Widget symbols have been designed to be age neutral. And you can personalize within our software. So that means you can change the skin tone, you can change the color of symbols, and you can add photographs. So that's why visuals, why symbols. What about why symbols can help? How can they help? So this is just a little thing that we use, 9 reasons for using symbols. We've talked about a couple of those. So symbols are permanent, words are transitory, they don't disappear, and they only include relevant information. So we've talked about 2 of those, top left and bottom right. But let's just have a little explore of some of the others. So symbols allow time to process information. Classrooms are fast-paced, and for many students and young people, the information has passed them by the time they've had time to process what's been said. So a symbol gives them that reminder, and that allows them to recall what's been said and process what's going on. I mentioned anxiety and stress before, and that can often be caused through a concern about what is happening next. We all like to know when coffee is, when lunch is, when the end of this session is going to be. And anxiety is multiplied for autistic people. So knowing what is happening next via a visual timetable can be really helpful. So that's top right there. Symbols prepare children or young people, adults for transition. We all know how difficult the English language is. It's particularly difficult to learn and understand. So take homonyms. So lead, as in follow me, and lead, as in the metal. Very different meanings, spelt the same. Symbol above those words can help explain what it is that you mean. Idioms, such as I'm feeling blue, for example. So those with a literal understanding who are very pragmatic or have semantic difficulties can really benefit from the key use of symbols on key vocabulary to help explain text understanding. For rules and expectations can be set out in symbolized format without any underlying tone of voice. So where are we? Sorry, I've lost that one. Bottom, in the middle at the bottom, symbols convey information without tone. That can be particularly useful if you yourself are feeling quite stressed and might have spoken to a student a bit more sharply than perhaps ought to. So using symbols, they have that no tone of voice, they're neutral. They can relay expectations without anything added on to that. And if young people don't have to ask for support to complete tasks or find equipment, then there's a greater sense of independence, self-esteem that can be fostered. So that building helping to build confidence and independence there that's on the right. So hopefully that's given you again a little bit of a picture as to why we would use symbols and how they can help in the classroom setup. Just want to now look a little bit about products. So Widget has a database of over 20,000 symbols, and it has software that allows you to use those symbols. We have two. We have an online cloud-based version called Widget Online. That's the product of choice now. So the majority of our customers go for Widget Online because of its accessibility and because of its ease of use. So there are lots of different templates that you can just choose the template, populate with your own vocabulary, and away you go. InPrint 3, which is on the right-hand side there, is a Windows-installed desktop publishing program. It has a lot of creativity and a lot of those publishing features. So if you're looking to create something a bit more bespoke, maybe surveys or questionnaires, simplified information documentation where you want to have logos and branding, then InPrint 3 is the product that you would probably want to go for. There are free trials of both. You can access those through our website. If I pop this one on here, so 21-day free trials, free getting started webinars to show you how to actually use the product, and you can find out all the information there. So that QR code would take you to our website in order to be able to access more of that information. So that's the little presentation PowerPointy bit. So I'm just going to come out of that, close that window down, and then actually show you some of the program. So this is Widget Online. This is our cloud-based program. Means it's accessible from any computer or tablet with an internet connection, which obviously is much easier than installing and then updating things on a Windows desktop or laptop. There are two different sections to it. There's a document section and a template section. Now, your document section allows you to create continuous text. So I'm going to go in there first because it shows you really well how the symbols actually work. I'll just increase the size of this. So this is, if you like, a symbolized word processor. So I can use it for instructions. I can use it for learning intentions, for recipes, for recounts, for anywhere where I've got continuous text, for differentiating text to make it easier to access. And all I do is type. And the symbols will appear automatically. It's got what's called a smart symbolizer. So it knows the difference between a noun and a verb, and it will try to find the correct symbol to fit the context. However, there are always alternatives, or if there is an alternative within the symbol set, that alternative will appear on the right-hand side on the symbol chooser. So if I wanted a different type of drink, I could click on left click and select a different symbol to replace the one that's there. If I don't want a symbol at all, I can click and have no symbol. There are lots of different options in that respect. And the beauty of this is that you don't have to go searching for them. They just appear automatically. Now, I mentioned in the little presentation that you can personalize symbols. So let's have a look at the word drink, where you have skin or flesh. So any symbol where you have skin or flesh, you can change the skin tone. And that's done through the icon here, which if I hover over, it tells me the skin tone. And I can choose a more appropriate skin tone for that symbol. So I can make things relevant and personal to specific individuals. Or if I'm creating a resource that's inclusive, I can use what's called the varied skin tone. So anywhere where I have more than one person, I have varied skin tone to make it inclusive. I could turn that off, just have one, but varied is the default. So if I was, again, making a resource that was inclusive for the whole class, the whole setting, I might use varied skin tones throughout. So sometimes using a darker one, sometimes using a lighter one, just to show that everybody's included. As well as adding in skin tone, we can also add in photos. So if I was to type, my name is Sue, and I wanted a photo, really useful for staff photos. Now, I said photos were not generally as good when you're using visuals, but there are times when you do need them for specific people, specific places that you might be visiting. So here's an instance where I want a photograph. I don't think I've got a photograph of me actually, but any photographs I do have are contained in my image library. And these are ones that I have previously uploaded, but it's very easy to upload an image that goes straight into your computer or your tablet where you've got photos stored, and you can simply upload from there. I do have my avatar, so we'll use my avatar. So once a photo is in the image library, I can just pick it up and drag it, drop it over the symbol I want to replace. So again, that makes it very personal. I can add photographs as well within the document. So if we wanted to do something about hedgehogs, for example, I can pick up the hedgehog and I can drop that into one of the bigger spaces, call this a paragraph graphic, and then I could continue writing. So if this was a recount or a recipe or a set of instructions where you wanted to have a photograph at the beginning, then obviously you can do that and then you can continue to type. There are different fonts available. So a range of different fonts. If you're looking for something that is fully cursive, Sassoon Joined is a good one and might be more appropriate in your settings. You can add that one in. You've also got a dyslexia friendly font called Open Dyslexic. Oops, sorry, missed that. And now I'm not highlighted. There we go. Which is another option as well. The letters are weighted, so the idea is they sit at the bottom of the page. I'm personally not keen on the A, but there we go. So that's, as I say, adding in photographs, looking at the different fonts. We could look at having a different background colour. So not always good to have black on white, but we could change the background colour of our resource to make it what we call more dyslexia friendly. Again, especially if you're using this on an interactive smartboard. There are many other features, but I don't have the time to go through all of those today. But as I say, we do have getting started webinars that you're very welcome to sign up for and register. I can save this. So I'm going to save this just to pop it on my home page. Once I've saved, then I can go back home. And it will appear here on my home screen. Now, you have options of having an individual account where you can just save things in your own documents, or having shared folders in a shared group account where you can save things that can be accessed by colleagues. So rather than everybody producing a visual timetable or a social story about what's going to be happening, you can pop them in the shared folders and you can use those as a basis. Colleagues can use those. Here's the one I've created. If I want to go back into it, I can click on it and edit. I can create a PDF from here and print it. We also have this thing called View, which I think can be very, very useful. It effectively creates a PDF online with a direct link to where this is stored in the cloud. Now I can copy this link, paste it in an email, put it on a web page, put it on some homework Moodle site, whatever, and anybody that has that link can click on it. They don't register, they don't pay, they don't sign up. They just click on the link and they can see this view, but also hear it read aloud.
I can drink a can of drink.
With a few different voices that you can choose from. So if you wanted to get resources home to individuals, you can send them that direct link. They can view it on a phone, tablet, and have them instantly to hand. So a really useful addition to Widget Online. We go back to that home page and quickly have a look at the templates. So a range of different templates. There are over 350 different templates that you can use, from flashcards and vocabulary to timetables, simple instructions, sequence boards, schedules. And there's some literacy support, probably not age appropriate for you guys, but they're there. Talk about dual language a little bit. There are some emotion scales. These can be really useful for supporting individuals to recognise their anxiety levels, their frustration, their anger levels. Again, some activities. Mind maps are really useful ones. Some science and maths diagrams there. And then a couple of other different folders that you can explore at your own convenience. But I just want to show you how the templates work, slightly different from the document holder, documents side. So this is a topic word map or subject word map vocabulary. So if I just type in the middle there, maths words, and then go around, I can type in a couple of examples. I want to just get a range so that you can see the different ones. And I'm just tabbing between each of my cells. That's the easiest way to go. There you can see that the words just appearing automatically. I don't have to go looking for them, as I've said previously. If there are any options, those appear on the right-hand side again. Have we got any options for any of them? Slightly there. If I were to type in mean, for example, lots of meanings of the word mean. Again, all those options appear, and I just need to select the one that I actually want. Can change the background colours of these. So if I want to make something a little stand out more, I can change the border colour of that as well, make it thicker. So the layout is, you get a little bit of flexibility in terms of the layout. Now, what you can't do, and this is the difference between Widget Online and InPrint 3, is I can't now go in here and add in any extra rows or columns, or merge the size of the cells, or alter the height or the width of those columns. The template is fixed. So you have to choose the templates at the outset to fit the type of resource that you want. But it's so quick to make, as I think you can see, that actually having those templates can be really, really helpful. There is also the option to have dual language in Widget Online, so creating resources both in English and a second language. Again, template driven. Let's just choose one. Works with Google Translate, so any of the languages that Google currently translates, we can choose. Okay, so let's put in gravity, resistance. So we start in English, select everything, and then translate. That translates it into that second language. So you do have EAL students with you who are literate in their home language, then that can be very helpful as well. In the view mode, if I were to save that, but if I were to save that and go back into view, in the view mode, I could hear that read aloud in English and Romanian, because there is a speaker engine for Romanian. So any of the Google languages where we have a speech engine, you can hear them read aloud in both languages. So that's whistle stop Widget Online. Let's just have a quick look at InPrint 3 so you can see the difference. As I say, it's Windows installed. every time there's an update, you need to update it with a further installation, whereas Widget Online is automatically updated. There are templates which you can use, not as many, because obviously you can do it, create your own from scratch, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go into blank document. I'm going to create a frame. I'm going to type, let's make again bigger. So I can just type in exactly the same way as I did on the document page, but now I can add in a table as well. I can resize that table. If I suddenly decide I wanted to put in another column, then my table layout will allow me to insert a column, which I can then resize. I can change the size of the rows and columns to give different widths. I can merge cells together so that you've got a lot of flexibility in terms of the way that you create resources. If I were to type in here now, again, the eagle-eyed amongst you will possibly spot that within the cell in InPrint 3, I can symbolize a full sentence. Within a cell in Widget Online, I just get a key symbol. It's a symbol per cell. You can have a maximum of 2. But again, in InPrint 3, I can symbolize a sentence. So it does give you that flexibility in terms of creativity. I know that's whistle stop. I will stop now. If there are any questions, I know somebody's put something in the chat. Let me just have a look at that one. Oh, thank you, Neil.
Yeah, that was just me sharing the website.
Okay.
Thank you. That was really interesting. If people have any questions, now's a really good time to ask them. I'd love to know the people today. Do you already use Widget? Are you going to use Widget after watching this? And yeah, how are you planning on using it? That'd be really good to know. And while you're thinking about that for a minute, Sue, can I ask if we have some colleges that want to share resources, would there be a good way to do that? Would it be through a shared folder or direct links or things like that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can download a Widget Online file and then pass it on to somebody else and they can upload it into their account.
Okay.
You could share the link, but then things aren't editable. If there are a group of colleges that are interested in purchasing, and obviously I haven't gone into prices, but that's information's all on the website, we can do something that's called a multi-subscription account, where the accounts are all linked together. So effectively each college would have its own account, but could share resources across the multi-subscription account, which again is another way of looking at it.
Great, thanks, Sue. That's really useful. Russell said, thank you, Sue and Neil. We use Widget. I didn't know all the functionality, so it was really helpful, especially the view and text to audio functionality.
Okay. Thank you very much, Russell. There are a lot more that you can do as well. So if you want to find out more, then we have getting started webinars. We have lots of help sheets. So go to the website under the support section and you'll be able to find out a whole lot more about what you can do.
Thanks, Sue. And Emma Jackson says they already use Widget, but some useful tips today. Is there an examples library of kind of good resources and things that are prior created?
So if I go back to Widget Online, in your extras folder, there are a whole load of resources that you can install. So you just need to install those. If you are in a group folder, then pop them into your shared folder so that everybody can access them. If you are an InPrint 3 user, then on the website, symbol resources, there are a whole load of InPrint 3 resources that you can download. Some of them are free, some of them are paid for, but it's well worth always keeping an eye on what's there. This pack, incredibly well received, the wellbeing pack in primary settings, but I think there's a lot in there that would be suitable for college as well.
Great, thanks, Sue. That looks brilliant. Max has said that he's not using it at the moment, but planning on doing so. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where you think you're going to start, Max. Is there anything, any particular tasks that you think would be good for a college to start, say timetables?
I think timetabling is always the first thing to do. Yeah, so reassure students in terms of what's happening now and next, and how their day shapes, and then maybe social stories around things that are different or expectations. That's another way of doing it as well. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks, Sue. I used had a go with ChatGPT the other day to write a social story, and it did quite a good job.
Yeah,
so combination of the two would be quite powerful.
Absolutely. I was exploring chat. So I always want to say GB, but ChatGPT yesterday was one of our external widget centres, and obviously, asking it to produce a resource for a neurotypical 10-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever, and then simplifying it for a reading age of 6, and then pasting that into widget software to get it symbolized. It's a brilliant thing to do. I do have to just put out a little health warning. If you do paste things into widget, please read it. Make sure that it's not over symbolized, because that can be too cluttered, that it's picked up the correct meaning of the word, and you're using good length. There is actually on our website about symbols, guide to good symbol content, 5 basic rules. This is a really good top tip into creating good symbolized material, and well worth a read. So even if you're using ChatGPT and pasting in, definitely worth reading that to make sure that your symbol output is appropriate for the reader.
And so, yeah, very wise words. Anyone else got any questions? If not, I think we'll finish there. Feel free to put your hands up if you want to talk on the mic rather than type in the window as well. And yeah, just to say thanks, Sue. That was really interesting. Would you be interested in coming back and meeting our champions in a separate meeting at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Very happy to come along and talk to you.
Great, that'd be wonderful. I think that'd be really popular. So yeah, thank you so much, Sue, for taking the time today. That was really good, and I learned lots as well. Yeah, I'll make sure that I send out the slides to everyone and the link to the recording. And thanks for everyone that's attended and contributed today.
Lovely, great. Thanks very much, everybody. Good to see you all.